With fewer than 20 days to go until the election, presidential candidates are passing through battleground state Wisconsin, where Vice President Harris is planning to stop today, and when we can expect to see Republicans campaigning in the region.
Key issues that could win it for either political party in Door County this November. That story coming up.
Fond du Lac's first housing study finds one group particularly impacted by high housing costs. I'm your Fond du Lac neighborhood reporter, Margaret Cahill, with more on what the city and neighbors have to say.
There are no active weather alerts out throughout northeast Wisconsin this morning. I'm meteorologist Lauren Larson, but it is still a chilly start. And the growing season has ended now that we saw 20s and 30s the last couple of days. Right now, again, a little bit warmer. 36 outside in Green Bay, 37 in Appleton, 36 as we look towards Menominee, and many other places waking up below freezing, even 22 degrees right now in Mountain. Finally starting to see a little bit of sunshine here on our tower camera, and we can expect lots of sunshine throughout the day today, eventually climbing into the mid to upper 60s, but it is going to be a little bit breezy as well. Again, expecting those 60s, but still seeing chilly temperatures outside right now. McLeod Hageman is live outside the Resch Expo. Mac, is it feeling just a little bit chilly out there this morning?
Yeah, Lauren, somewhat of a chilly day ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris's visit to Green Bay. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm NBC 26 Today's McLeod Hageman. Outside of the Resch Expo, ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris coming to the Green Bay area today. I'm going to be sharing everything you need to know here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at top stories making headlines from neighborhoods across northeast Wisconsin. New for you this morning, a Marquette Law School poll national survey reveals that 45% of adults currently approve of the U.S. Supreme Court, with 55% disapproving. This approval rating is slightly higher than the last time this poll was run in July. Then, approval was only at 43%, while disapproval sat at 57%. Also new for you this morning, President Joe Biden has approved $4.7 billion in student debt cancellation for more than 60,000 public service workers. That brings the total number of Americans who have had their debt canceled during the Biden administration to more than 1 million. Public service workers included in this act include teachers, nurses, firefighters, and more.
Door County is one of the several closely watched counties here in Wisconsin. I'm your Door County neighborhood reporter, Hannah Lopez, with what key issues could impact this presidential election.
Small business owners like Bonnie Merkowitz says she is a registered Republican that is voting Democrat this election.
I'm a registered Republican. Don't listen to Democrats. Listen to the Republicans who have worked under Trump. They are open, they're courageous. Why would they lie?
Merkowitz owns Forever Grateful, a boutique, and says she believes the most important issues this election is maintaining democracy and women's health care. Alan Walker, the treasurer of the Democratic Party of Door County, believes that the biggest issue this election is former President Trump.
I think the real issue is probably Mr. Trump himself, that folks are relatively convinced that Kamala Harris will be good for the country, but they're not absolutely convinced that Mr. Trump will be bad for the country.
Bob Cosby lives in Sturgeon Bay and says this election, the price of groceries is an issue impacting his vote.
So when I go grocery shopping, I'm from Texas. I like meat, meat and potatoes. And I go by there and I'll pick up packages of meat and I'll just say, I'll wait till payday again because I can't afford a lot of that stuff.
Stephanie Sochek, the chair of the Republican Party of Door County, says that the issues they're hearing is the cost of living and border security.
As you can see the polls tightening, I think that does show that the message is getting out there. The two top issues that we are pushing are talking about the economy and the high cost of living or inflation, and then border security.
While both parties are aware that Door County has accurately predicted the last 6 presidential elections, they are both campaigning until Election Day. In Door County, Hannah Lopez, NBC 26.
More than 560,000 voters had requested absentee ballots in Wisconsin as of Tuesday. And get this, nearly 240,000 voters have already filled out and returned those ballots as well. That's according to the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The state's top elections official, Megan Wolf, says those numbers are closer to what we saw in presidential elections before 2020. That's when the COVID-19 pandemic caused a surge in absentee voting.
This data illustrates that absentee voting trends are beginning to look more like pre-2020 levels, although we'll of course need to wait until after the election and certainly after the in-person absentee voting process that starts next week to find out exactly what those numbers are and how they'll compare to previous elections.
At this time 4 years ago, Wolf says that more than 1.3 million voters had requested absentee ballots. Registered voters in Wisconsin can still request absentee ballots through the end of the month. In Madison, Harm Venheisen, NBC 26.
And Vice President Kamala Harris is traveling to Green Bay today in hopes of persuading some of those undecided voters. Her first stop, well, that's going to be in La Crosse. I'm NBC 26 today's McLeod Hageman outside of the Rush Expo, where Vice President Kamala Harris will be holding her rally later on tonight. Now, according to the very latest Marquette News poll, President Trump and Vice President Harris are in a dead heat here at this point. In Green Bay, Republicans typically win the presidential race, but their margin has been getting much closer in just the last few elections. Barack Obama is the only Democrat to win Brown County in a presidential race in the last century. So it'll be really interesting to see if Vice President Harris has that same effect in November. Now, in the 2016 race, Hillary Clinton never even visited Wisconsin during the general election, ultimately losing to Donald Trump. And this time around, Democrats are making sure to cover as much ground as possible ahead of November. Now, both Harris and Trump are making as many stops in swing states, hoping to widen their gap in such a tight race. To stay up to date with all the very latest political coverage ahead of November and to see which presidential candidates are going to be passing through your neighborhood here in the next few weeks, you can visit our website. That's NBC26.com. We will also have reporters here tonight outside of the Rush Expo. And while Kamala Harris campaigns in Wisconsin today, here's a look at where the other candidates will be. Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz will be rallying in North Carolina. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump is speaking at a dinner tonight in New York City. Trump's running mate J.D. Vance is delivering remarks in Pennsylvania. And the presidential and vice presidential candidates aren't the only ones hoping for your vote. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we'll be airing the Wisconsin Broadcasters Foundation produced U.S. Senate debate between Tammy Baldwin and Eric Hovde. You can catch the debates on our air tomorrow at 7 p.m.
In Fond du Lac's first housing study, the city found a housing shortage among all demographics, but seniors face particular challenges. I'm your Fond du Lac neighborhood reporter, Margaret Cahill, with more on the recent findings. This fall, the city conducted its first housing study.
It really showed that we really needed housing at all levels.
But Community Development Director Diane Benson says the group most burdened by housing costs is seniors. The study found that 60% of seniors who rent and 25% of seniors who own their home are cost burdened. Benson says she believes the solution is a partnership between the city and the private sector.
We really looked at some of our zoning code and what we can do to make some changes to either change density, lot sizes, to really bring down the cost of housing construction.
Benson says the city plans to put plans in place to address housing in the next few years. In Fond du Lac, I'm Margaret Cahill, NBC 26.
We've spent 35 days above normal, and then the last 3 days we were below that average high temperature. We've been in the low 50s throughout the last 3 days. Now, we are seeing some warmer temperatures for us as we head throughout the day today and into this weekend, even into the mid 70s for us as we look towards Sunday. I'll let you know if this pattern continues into next week.